my good side.
That is your good side. But I like this side too.
So we're talking about the Compassion Project.
Right.
And you said self-compassion is
Truth!
moving in your truth.
But I want to really reiterate, it's not just one-sided truth.
It's not like I am selfish. It's like in your highest essence of truth. Like what is true for you is good for you and for everyone around you.
Right.
Right?
Whether they realize it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And how do you know if you're in your truth?
You feel good about it. There's no self-sabotaging behavior. And you have peace.
So really easy. So if you make a decision and you feel like it's your truth, but you don't feel in peace about it, it's potentially not the right.
I think you really, if you have the luxury of sitting with it, and one of the things I do is help people develop the ability to have a conversation with their higher self. And once you check in with your higher self and you get that information, you might have emotion about it. You might have to end a relationship, or you might have to leave a job. You might have a feeling of loss and sadness, or you still might be angry about it. But you know at the end of the day that it's going to be the best decision for you.
It's like when you have like relief, like when you come to a decision and you're like, oh gosh, this is going to be a hard decision to implement, but you have a sense of relief.
Right. And you're not moving forward into your life purpose. Your purpose is not, you didn't come here to suffer. You didn't come here to be a martyr. You didn't come here to have sacrifice. All right? There are things that we have to do when we have children. We don't necessarily have to do them, but for your highest good, feeling good about yourself, and the child's highest good, there are things you have to do. And you might say, I have to stay home and take care of my sick child. I mean, if you went to work, most people...
We've got pigeons. Hold on. Okay. All right. Unlikely guard dog. So we just pulled her here because she's barking at people that are going across. So Lori,
if you had to stay home and take care of your child that was sick, most people would want to stay at home. They might have something they want to do at work too, but in the long run, you're not going to be comfortable at work. You're not going to be in the present moment. So when we're in our higher self and we do things for the truth, we move in the present.
We move in the present. So let's talk about living your truth and your purpose, which really shows up for a lot of people as their work, right?
Well, I'm going to take issue with that because I think a lot of people work at something they don't like.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And that's why they call it work.
And so most people don't like their jobs, right? So how is that related to compassion? So if we're saying compassion is moving in your truth, people are in jobs that they hate because they're not moving in their truth. Why?
Because, so when you move in your truth, you really are in a creative format, okay? Because as in your higher self, you are extending through creation. Chances are when you're not in your highest truth, you have shut down your ability to create. And when we can't create, we feel stifled and stuck and in hell. And a lot of people have taken a back seat because they don't feel good about themselves. They don't feel good about what they can do in the world. And there are many reasons why. Maybe somebody told them that, or they compare themselves. We could talk endlessly ad nauseum about that. But when we shut ourselves down and we're not in our truth, we have stopped creating.
And so a lot of people have anxiety because they have jobs that they hate. And I'm just going to hypothesize, but it's because when you're in school, no one says, what is your truth? Like, what do you love to do?
Right.
Although that question is opening up more. It's more like, where can you make money?
Because it's about survival.
It's about survival.
And so there's this feeling that you, Candace, need to take care of yourself because nobody else is going to.
Yes.
There is no co-creative, there's no introduction of the co-creation theory, meaning I have to implement and move through the world, but I do it from a place where I co-create with my highest self. Okay? Do you understand?
Yes. So break that down for people though. So they're in a job that they hate.
Right.
What do?
Most of them are shutting down. They're just basically surviving. They're doing the minimum. They're keeping themselves small because there's a boss that they don't like working with, or people in the company that they don't like working with, or they don't enjoy what they're doing. But they don't feel engaged enough to become their own advocate and to become their own best friend, and they don't want to rock the boat.
Also because maybe it doesn't feel like there's an alternative.
Well, once you engage with your source, when you move into creation, there are millions of alternatives. So mostly when people have stuck, anytime you meet somebody that's stuck, or if you're out there and you feel like you're stuck, chances are you have unplugged from creation.
Which means you're not traveling in your truth and you're not plugged into your inner guidance.
Right. So just as an exercise, and one that you know really well, is I'm going to ask everybody out there to think of, well, would you like to be my guinea pig?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's book it down.
Think about a situation in your life that you feel stuck in, that you would like to share.
So I have lots of business ideas right now, and I'm not sure which one to go with.
Okay. So what is one option that you've thought about?
One option is I could just get a job.
Right.
Another option is I could start a video production company. A third option is I have consulting opportunities.
Okay, so...
Or a media company.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it down to, take your top two.
My own media company or a video production company.
Or going to work for somebody else.
Or going to work for someone else.
Okay, so your top three. Okay, now I'm going to ask you for a second, because you're your own damn guru.
Yeah.
And you can meditate. I'd like you to close your eyes, and I'd like you to connect with your higher self. And ask what an option is that you have yet to think about.
I think what I'm getting is, and I feel a little bit on the spot, is I think I'm getting, there's an opportunity to work for someone else part-time as I'm building the video and media.
And you know why that's perfect?
Why?
It takes that whole anxiety and pressure, because when you're in anxiety, it's hard for you to be creative and be connected. You can be in anxiety or you can be connected to source.
Right.
You can't have them both at the same time.
Right.
And when your fundamental needs aren't being met, it's very hard to move out of that fear mode.
Right.
Right? And to connect with source. So that takes the edge off. That kind of eliminates the fear. And then you have still enough, you said part-time, but you still have enough time to be creative. So you can open that part of your mind up to your creative process.
So we kind of just demonstrated it, but to if people are watching and they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Because I've been in practice for a while and I'm a meditation teacher, so I help people be their own inner gurus, so I get it. But you're listening to this or you're watching it, you are at work, you hate your job, you think that you don't have any other options, this is what you've studied, you've got expenses, but you're unhappy and you're searching for another way. What's the first thing that someone can do?
Well, the first thing is I would tell someone to make a list of all the things they like about their job. And then I'd say make a list of all the things that you don't like about your job. And then you look at the things that you don't like, and are they in your control? Is there any way that you can change that? And if the answer is no, if somebody is bullying you at work, or what you do is that you staple things all day and that's your job, you're a professional stapler, then you need to look at creative ways to get around that. You can either go to your boss and say, make a pitch. This is what I can do, and this is what I'd like to do. And I often tell people, you have a job, you want to leave the job. So why don't you look at the obvious, the low-hanging fruit, see what the chances are for you to change the things in your job, and that's moving in truth. Hey, Mr. Employer, I can do these. I'm at a point in my life where I'd like to do these things, and this is why it's to your benefit, and this is what I can do for both of us.
What if you don't know what your truth is? So you know you don't like your job, but you don't know what you want to do, or you have this idea of what you want to do, but it seems too way out there.
So what I would do is that's when I would bring in a coach or somebody that you trust, and you need to explore it with somebody else. And one of the nice things about that is that you want to pick somebody that's very supportive and that's a good listener. That's not going to tell you what to do, but it's going to give you some guidance to explore what your talents really are.
Tell me how it relates to self-compassion.
Well, self-compassion is being in your highest self for your highest good. And if you're a singer and you love to sing and that brings you so much joy, and in that moment of joy you have joy and nothing else, then being a singer is really what you should be doing. But you say, singing doesn't pay my bills. So you create, you co-create a plan where you execute certain parts of the plan. Because the more you sing, the more joy you have. And the more joy you have, the more creation you have. And the more approachable and the more opportunities you'll call to yourself.
And I think that a lot of the time you see people who hate their jobs. I've read stats like 80% of people don't like their jobs, which is crazy. And my experience of some of these people is they medicate, right? Because you just need to get through your day.
Right, so you're shutting down.
Yeah.
You're pulling the plug out of your creative process because you're not in your higher self. You cannot be medicated and be in your higher self.
Right, so they're taking something for anxiety during the day, and then what I found a lot of my workshops is people have really normalized insomnia. So they're taking something to kind of get them through the night.
Right.
But insomnia is maybe a sign that something you need to look at in your life, which is what you had said.
Everything that we experience physically and emotionally is our higher self saying, hey, come over here. I want to talk to you. And what we do is we run or we shut down with drugs and alcohol or work or whatever, busyness. But really your higher self is always calling to you. And that's where you feel that anxiety. Well, there it is again. Something's bugging me. Something's bothering me. There's something I feel like I need to be doing.
And you want to push it away.
Yeah.
But what I've learned, even because I used to suffer severe anxiety, and I go through bouts of it in my life, is that when anxiety shows up, I'm actually like, that's great. It's a sign.
Right.
Like something's out of balance in my life.
Right.
Something for me to have a look at.
So to reiterate, in conclusion, first of all, you need to decide what brings you the greatest joy. You need to find a way to do it more. Not necessarily all the time, but in a way that feels like you decided to do yours part-time. Take the pressure of money away because that's going to just create more anxiety and shut down your creative process. So find a balance. And as you're in more and more joy, the rest will take care of itself.
And that is how you get out of the job you hate, or not rather how you create the next job that you do love.
Right.
It's a better way of saying that. Okay.
Right.
So we'll continue. We're moving on to episode 3, and we're going to talk about a tricky area for a lot of people, but love and romantic relationships.
Oh boy.
How does self-compassion play into that? How do you get that sense of joy and peace that we talked about in work in your relationship? So we'll talk about that next.
Right.